include presentations, let everyone know. Okay, yeah, you can also record the presentation as well. Okay, so I'm just I'll post introductions of the presenters as well. I'll do that now so it doesn't cut into their presentation timing. So since Didam is the first presenter, I'm going to paste her bio in the chat so you can read along, but I will also read it. So Didam is the founder of a platform named Dönüşümün Zihin. It means transforming mind, and it's a psychoeducating women on the importance of transforming our mind through the power of compassion in Turkey. Didam has a vision. When women awaken self-compassion in their hearts, the society we live in will flourish and become much more socially equal. Didam studies transpersonal psychology at Naropa University, the only Buddhist college in North America. In her platform, Dönüşümün Zihin, she creates various programs harmonizing her knowledge in Buddhist psychology and science of compassion. The programs offered in this platform include following subjects: women befriending their anger through the power of fear, self-compassion, and listening to shame compassionately and understanding what shame tries to tell us. Hundreds of women took a transformative journey with Didam, delving into these never-spoken subjects such as shame and anger, and participated in circles facilitated by her. Wow, I'm really excited for this because it's so in line with my project that I did, and I love just seeing how this comes about. So I hope you guys are also excited for this. So if you like, we have a few more minutes, but you can also just share anything you like, Didam, maybe give additional background information, but you're welcome to start whenever. And I will give a cue when you have about 5 minutes left in your presentation.
Wonderful. I think we can just slowly start maybe the process itself. And I mean, I will present some PowerPoints, but before we go in there, I'd like to maybe make this very interactive because we have the time. I'm wondering if any of us here may never had any anger issues in their lives. No. How about shame? Do you ever feel shame and just hide it and don't talk about it? Yeah. I mean, especially in this modern society, I am located in Turkey, and I will go into depth of my presentation, but just even from a perspective of patriarchal society we live in, women tend to have these issues much more suppressed. And I really like what Dr. Doty said at the beginning, and I'm not able to quote it, but I think he said something along the lines of the advancement of a country, the human advancement of a country is can be seen from how they treat their most vulnerable in the society. And I mean, I don't want to say women are vulnerable, not in that sense, but as you can see, the most oppressed in the gender scale is typically women in the modern society. With that being said, I'll just jump into the presentation and start from the very top of how my journey has started and how it took me to have Pardip beautifully explained the Dönüşümün Zihin platform. Thank you, Pardip, for the presentation and introducing me. So let me just see. I'm just gonna do something quickly here. Advanced portion. Okay, so you are able to see the slides, right? Is that part of, okay. Okay, so Hello again. My name is Didem, and I'm the founder of this platform called Dönüşümün, which is inspired by the name Transforming the Mind. And in here, I have a team of people helping me, focusing on really psychoeducating women on the importance of working with our minds through the power of compassion, especially in Turkey, where I live. And my vision is really like working with women to awaken the self-compassion in their hearts so that the society can become much more socially equal place. And my journey started 3 years ago, actually. The journey of the platform started 3 years ago because I was diagnosed one Friday evening. I got a call from my doctor, and he said, "You have breast cancer on your right side." And I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I was meditating. I thought I was in a good place. I was eating healthy and all of that. However, it just found me. And I'm just telling, fast forward, my right breast was totally removed from the tumor, and no worries, I'm doing fine right now. I'm doing great. I'm past over it. I don't want to like make you feel down now. My point is, just like any trauma survivor, I kept trying to find why this happened to me. And I must have done something wrong. What was wrong with me? And there was a lot of shame and anger around the issue. And when you are in a place of such a traumatic event, you kept reflecting back and retrospect and like trying to find why this happened to me. So it really like enhanced, I want to say, my transformative journey I took in. And I really like the quote, this Tibetan Buddhist teacher from 13th century, actually, Atisha. And he says here, make adversities your spiritual teacher and transform your mind for awakening. And I really read a lot from my sick bed when I was taking chemotherapy, Atisha. And so this journey helped me to dive into the deeper layers of spirituality as I was going through the treatment, self-acceptance, kindness, contentment. That was something I felt it was lacking in my life pre-cancer. Compassion for myself and others. And I think I end up finding the purpose of my life and wanting to live an altruistic life. That was the core need which was missing before cancer. I had to create a life where I can touch other women's lives and be service to others. I say I had to because it was a really deep calling for me, even before pre-cancer. I just didn't know the way. So I decided to teach them what I learned from this transformative journey and what really helped me, just in case if one thing can help them from what I learned, I just achieved my goal. So I found this platform called Dönüşümün in Turkey, and in Dönüşümün, we want to empower women to develop a new relationship within themselves and befriend their difficult emotions. The emotions that were not really spoken and hidden. And I really focused on the two subjects or two emotions, anger and shame. During this 11-month in Stanford, with the help of Stanford University ACT program, I was able to create 2 modules for an online platform, for an online psychoeducation for women who may be going through cancer or divorce or any other kind of difficulties in their lives and just wanted to have a new relationship with themselves. Because I deeply believe, and this is something we practice a lot at Stanford ACT program, compassion always and only arises in the midst of a suffering. And I felt, suppressing the anger or hiding our shame was deeply connected to suffering. And yeah, when we are having difficult times in our lives, these two can just be very difficult to tolerate. So I created these two modules, and it took me almost 11 months to be able to really create these modules. The modules are, one of them is the anger module, like I say, and that is to connect with our anger through the power of fierce self-compassion. Because here's the thing, when we actually I teach compassion, one of the things comes up is compassion may be perceived as something soft, sweet, saying yes to everything and just being butterflies and, just over the cloud or something. And it is not. Actually, I think what is really missing piece and misconception I want to say about compassion is the fierceness piece. And I think women really need to embody that piece of fierceness within themselves so that they can be motivated, so that they can just be able to say no when they really need to say no. All of that. So that was the reason actually I use the fierceness piece. I truly say this to my students. This is a form of activism. We do activism because we say no, we just stand up for ourselves. And Kristin Neff has amazing books if you're ever interested on this fierceness subject. I'm just going to go back into my slide. I just want to have an eye connection with all of you before I continue. I needed that because I feel like I'm talking to a slide, right? So, and the second module was the shame piece. Because learning to listen our shame is difficult. And sometimes, Dr. Brené Brown has amazing resources for that one. She says it's such an hidden emotion. It's like a mold, it's kept close, and when it's not aerated, when it's not open and talked about, it just keep growing and growing inside of us. So I teach the second modules, applying kindness for our inner critic voice. Because one thing I notice when I work with women, we are not able to even recognize our critic voice is the voice of shaming us. So when I say, woman, do you feel shame? Sometimes they're like, no, I don't. But then when you ask them if you ever feel you want to hide, if you ever feel you're not enough, if you ever feel you have inner critic going on and on, they say yes. So that's the definition of shame, I say. So sometimes really just teaching them, this is shame. This is how it manifests in our bodies and in our minds. So these are the two modules I created. I'll go into the depth of actually what it includes, but I'm just giving you a framework now. So I worked just for these two modules, a total of 40 women. I took them to this journey. It was like 14 hours of working with me. It was very much how we do at Stanford ACT program. So there were lectures, there were meditation practices, there were group discussions, there were journaling. We had a group of WhatsApp messaging. I kept sending them voice messages throughout the day. So it really helped them to get connected within themselves and learn why they feel how they feel. Because again, when we know our suffering, when we connect with that, when we know, oh, this is why I feel anger, this is how I suppress my shame and anger, then we can actually start turning towards that pain, and compassion arises organically. So yeah, and one of the great things we did, it was very exciting for me because I'm such a science geek, is I use Kristin Neff's self-compassion scale. for all the participants, I gave them the scale before and after. It was just like a science experiment for me to see if there was any shift in their scale. And right before I come here, I made an calculation, and it's almost average of 30% increase over 40 people, 40 women. They almost all had some sort of increase the way they start connecting within themselves and feel self-compassion. And at the end of the project, we took feedback, and the transformative journey keeps going on, meaning there will be more participants coming in, and we took an application process for women to see what they need. And one thing maybe I can go in depth is, I don't know, Pardip, how much time I have, is maybe talk about each module's content, just a tiny bit, if I have time.
Yes, you have about 7 minutes.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, and I'll show you the women, some of the faces, and these are some of the women who took the journey with me. And especially with anger, that is something I had to learn to work with myself. I had a lot of built up anger within me, and I noticed that when I was going through the cancer. And the more I search, if you ever are interested in autoimmune diseases, how it is related to, suppression of anger and all of that. Dr. Gabor Mate is a great source for that. And he says in one of his interviews, after 1930, woman to man ratio of being diagnosed for autoimmune diseases is 1 to 3. So for 1 man, 3 women is diagnosed for autoimmune diseases. And he talks about that and he gives the 1930 for a specific reason, because that's the Industrial Revolution started to pick up. And it just tells us there was a lot of expectation from society towards women. Woman needs to become mother, woman needs to get educated, woman needs to take care of their family, they need to work really hard, they need to look beautiful, they need to look thin, and there is a endless list of expectations from women. And it is really heartbreaking to see how we start to feel incomplete, and how we learn from very young age, living in a patriarchal society, we need to suppress our anger. For example, I kept giving these statistics. You can tell I'm such a geek. And Dr. Neff has another statistics. She says the ratio of how can I say that? The ratio when we are kids, the ratio of saying shh, be quiet, lower your voice to a child, ratio is 1 to 3. Again, for one male to female. So for one male kid to female. So it just tells us how much women are suppressed, learn to suppress their freedom of expression, being able to say no, or their fierceness, like I say. Imagine you hear something 1 time versus you hear the same thing 3 times. Of course, you start internalizing and losing your ability to say no. So that's the module. The anger module helps them to be able to relearn to be able to say no without feeling guilt, and using the self-compassion as a shield to society's never-ending expectations from women. In the relationship between shame and anger, we go over that, like how, when we feel we are suppressing our anger, then it just explodes at some point, and then from that explosion, we feel a lot of shame, and we close ourselves, just telling them the psychoeducation piece. And one of the great things is because we built a community throughout these modules, people start to open up and people start to feel, oh, I have this anger issue. Oh, I'm feeling shame too. And oh, I have body image issues. And it just keeps coming up. And towards the end of the program, we do a practice called Just Like Me meditation, which is actually the meditation showing how we are interconnected with each other through the power of self-compassion. That's something we learn at Stanford ACT program. And it just tells women they are not alone. And that container is so much healing, like just being able to be in that container and feel I am not alone is so healing for women. And I guess from a perspective of Stanford Compassion Ambassador now, I can say it's such a personal privilege to see these women transformation. It's humbling, it's heart opening, and it's such a rewarding thing for me. So I feel like I found the purpose of my life, and I want to just keep going with new groups of women to work with. And I feel I'm complete. If you, Pardip, I'm not sure what's the timing on this, but that's all I want to share.